While the Martin Logan Motion XT series isn't especially new to the market, we're trying to go back through the catalog of available options that may interest our viewers. And yes, Martin Logan may be best known for their electrostatic offerings, but we thought we'd see what they were able to do with traditional cabinet speakers. Were they able to fold the benefits of what they've learned from panel speakers into a more cost-effective package? Stay tuned to find out.
Hi, my name is Martin Bell. I'm the founder and CEO of Java Hi-Fi. We're an amplifier manufacturer from New Zealand. Well, I think we wanted to do something different. We wanted to use some new technologies. We wanted to have some new industrial design. I came up with the name Java Hi-Fi because I am a real coffee aficionado, and of course Java is slang for coffee, and hence that has carried through to the naming of the single shot and the double shot. It was 4 letters. We were able to make a cool kind of waveform logo out of the name. And I'd like to think perhaps that I'm something like a conductor of an orchestra. I'm not necessarily the engineer or the designer, but I can work with great people in those fields to bring a product to life.
Settling in below the Masterpiece reference series and the more budget-conscious electrostat option, the Electromotion series, Martin Logan's Motion XT series represents the final stop on the line for cabinet speakers in the list of available options from the time-honored brand. And the pair on review here, the F100, is the penultimate model in the series, with the F200 above it providing an extra 1.5 inches to each woofer. The Motion XT F100 is not a small speaker. Maybe it was the satin white finish I chose for my review pair, but the speakers seemed to dominate the space within my listening room. At nearly 4 feet tall, just over a foot wide, 15 inches deep, and weighing in at 76 pounds each, you're getting a lot of speaker for your nearly $4,500 US per pair. In addition to the satin white you see here, Martin Logan offers the Motion XT series in gloss black or a walnut finish, which has a satin black front baffle with gold accents around the drivers. Regarding fit and finish, I would say overall, this was pretty good, given the price point. The bi-wireable binding posts had a nicely molded acrylic piece which offered a more confidence-inspiring bit of torque when securing speaker cables. And although I feel the cabinet construction seemed a bit unrefined, it was clear that time, thought, and energy was poured into its construction while simultaneously being concerned about unnecessarily lightening prospective buyers' wallets, such as the folded motion waveguide used to highlight the new Motion XT tweeter, the down-firing twin cannon bass ports allowing for more forgiving speaker placement options, and finally, mating the F100s to your room with Martin Logan's fast outrigger feet. There are a number of small features like this that add to a well-composed product for a reasonable price. I'm going to touch on how the fast outrigger feet likely played a role in the sonic performance of the F100s in the sound quality portion of this review, but I want to take some time to touch on the more practical side of this feature. Admittedly, as a reviewer I might be more sensitive to this as speaker placement and adjustment is a more frequent occurrence. However, the ease of adjusting the speakers on the fast outrigger feet meant I was more likely to make adjustments, helping me to feel more confident that I had the speakers as dialed in as possible for my listening space. In addition to the aforementioned Motion XT tweeter, the complement of drivers consists of one 6.5-inch Nomex reinforced Kevlar mid-range driver housed in a cast aluminum basket, along with 3 6.5-inch aluminum cone woofers. I occasionally did some listening to the F100s with my reference turntable, a Technics SL1210G with a HANA ML cartridge through a Hegel V10 phonostage. But most of my listening was conducted via Roon through my Hegel H190V streaming integrated. My time with the Motion XTs overlapped my time with the Cambridge Audio Evo 150, so I did a bit of listening with that as well. The speaker wires I used during this review were Via Blue SC6 Air. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and click the bell. Then you'll get notified when we post new reviews. Okay, Getting into how this speaker sounds. I'm going to start with the voicing of the F100s, and I'm going to begin at the bottom end, because boy, is there some bottom end. Now, there isn't a ton of extension past the quoted 31 Hz roll-off, but the energy that's presented here is strong and lets you really feel the music. This is a quality that I attribute, at least in part, to the fast outrigger feet of the F100s. Not only were these feet super easy to adjust with the knobs on the top of each foot, but they incorporate absorption material, ensuring energy input into the speaker isn't transferred to the floor. The Motion XT's rendered kick drum with warmth and chest-thumping force. What I heard was akin to an amplified kick drum projecting through a concert PA. Often when I hear kick drum in an intimate setting without amplification, it's noteworthy how significant the difference of this sound is to its amplified counterpart. The unamplified drum seems to have more breath and texture, while the amplified version hits hard and dissipates rather quickly. The Motion XTs are like the latter. After this burst of low-end energy, the F100s become a bit more reserved as they enter into a subtle trough in the upper bass, before turning things up again as they work their way through the mid-range. This trough was most noteworthy when listening to tracks highlighting the upright bass. Here, the lower fundamentals were rendered with loads of attention-grabbing energy. But as the artist would play higher in the instrument's range, that same energy was missing. I would find myself leaning into the music a little bit. This also meant that on instruments whose fundamentals sit low in the spectrum, timbral clarity was lacking, even if just. Another area where I made note of this dip in the frequency response was on male vocals, especially with artists like Colter Wall, David Draymond, and Josh Turner, known for their low-reaching range. In the case with Josh Turner, the F100s presented Turner as having less energy than the band, leaving the words sounding slightly dim. This seemed to contradict other experiences I've had with this recording, where Turner's voice is energetic and consistent with the band. Going on, remaining fairly balanced and flat through the mid-range, the Motion XTs offer up female vocals nicely layered on the speaker's foundational bottom end, giving the music a palpable texture. Then we begin a gentle drop in level as we near the crossover, circa 2 kHz, to the Motion XT's namesake, the Gen 2 Obsidian-folded Motion Tweeter XT. This slight dip here is well judged as it smooths out some of the crunch often found in this range, while simultaneously softening that harsh tinny sound present here. Now, for possibly the more polarizing trait regarding the F100, it's Motion XT Tweeter. Martin Logan was not shy about its implementation on this speaker, letting it sing loud and proud. There's a significant peak in levels starting around 6 kHz, meaning sibilance is pronounced and definition is high. Taking all of this into consideration, I found the most enjoyable listening on the Motion XTs to be from singer-songwriters, often featuring female vocals in a slightly more relaxed setting. The U-shaped response presented by these speakers offered a rich, detailed rendering of these pieces capitalized with a gentle airiness. When it comes to imaging, that boost in the upper frequency range highlighted low-level, high-frequency information, helpful in developing an aural image of the space rendered by the recording, which meant these speakers presented a relatively large sound space. The sound stage, too, was substantial in size, and the Motion XTs effortlessly disappeared. It was really quite remarkable how these speakers were able to keep the image off themselves, even projecting performers behind the speakers on more well-recorded cuts. With attention-grabbing definition and chest-thumping bass, these classy floor standers from a well-regarded brand present a bargain worth considering. Wide-ranging room placement options and well-isolated feet mean even apartment dwellers might consider the Martin Logan Motion XT F100s as a worthwhile option. Thanks for sticking around while I shared my experience with this product. And if you made it this far, you might seriously consider subscribing to our print magazine. In the latest issue, Alan Taffel reviewed the new Watt Puppy. Oh, and don't forget to make listening fun again.